Hey everyone, so one of the problems that has really plagued my LEGO collection and LEGO room over the years that I've been getting LEGO Pick-a-Brick cups is storing said LEGO Pick-a-Brick cups, because I've accumulated a whole bunch of them over the years that I've been going to the LEGO store, because they're a really good deal if there's good parts and you know how to pack them well, so you end up with a whole bunch of these cups, which are almost necessary for storing some of the parts that you get either there or just wherever else. But they're super inconvenient to use because you have to put them all over the table, so they take up table space, and then stack them up, so they're annoying to get pieces in and out of and really discouraging to use at all. So about a year ago I came up with a solution to that, which was building shelves specifically designed to hold all my LEGO Pick-a-Brick cups, and that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you here today. So if you're interested in maybe learning how to build them yourself, stick around to the end of the video, because I realize that's probably going to be a little bit boring, so I'm going to save that for the last part, the building process, where you'll get maybe some specific details if you're interested in building your own, and if you think you're going to, or you want to share this with someone who might really need this, that'd be super awesome, and maybe leave a like. But yeah, so now we can get on to some of the showcase of these LEGO Pick-a-Brick shelves. Alright, so some basic things that I think I can go over. There's 8 total shelves, all with 8 individually cut holes in them to hold the Pick-a-Brick cups, which of course is a total of 64 slots for cups, which is just under about how many cups I own right now. The only thing is I don't actually have enough lids, because I've gone to Brickworld Chicago 2 years in a row now and left all my lids there because I didn't have room to bring them back. So I guess Danny has like 30 of mine, so you know, hit me up. I'm gonna need some of those back, just like 6. The piece of wall space that I decided to use was behind where my door closes. There was really nothing over there before, just like a mirror and a poster, so it was really one of like the only blank areas of my room, and it really stood out because the rest of it's pretty much all kind of like an organized chaos. So I think that was a really good choice of where to put it. And then of course you can still like open the door all the way with the shelves there, so that worked out really well. They're stained gray in an effort to try and match the shelves that I already have in here that I've got mocks and sets on, but it's not exactly perfect. I think the shelves that are in here were made years ago, so we didn't know specifically what color we had to get, so we tried to get as close as possible, but it's still just not really the right shade, but it's totally fine. I think it still looks really cool in that sort of dark blay 2x4, you know, clone-based look. All the edges are beveled to make them look really nice, and we rounded off the corners and stuff. The beveled edges on the inside of like the circles where the cups actually go, I think worked out really well, because it makes them just slightly easier to take in and out rather than just like a straight cut through the board. And then of course we tried to pick a good diameter for the holes to be cut so that the cups wouldn't sit in there like too deep, but enough so that they can't shake around. They just sit comfortably in there, which worked out really well, and I'll get into that more with like building specifics later on in the video. And then of course we just left enough space to pull the cup out so that there's enough clearance above it, and that's pretty much it. I probably could have fit maybe 1, possibly 2 more shelves on this entire like vertical wall space, because the wall's really tall and we left quite a bit of clearance for the cups. So if we really compressed it, maybe 1 or 2 more, but I can really barely even reach the top shelf because it's like super tall, all 8 shelves starting from the floor. And it's definitely going to be plenty of storage for all my LEGO Pick-a-Brick cups. I don't think I'm going to bother with the other like 10 that I have around, maybe not even that many. And yeah. So in the end, I'm super happy with the look of it. The aesthetic of it looks really awesome, because since there's these pre-drilled holes, they look really arranged and really cool looking, filling up like this really tall vertical wall. They can't fall out if someone were to just close the garage door too fast or too quickly. It could if they were just shelves, they could easily fall off. So that's why I usually put them all over the tables, or I used to put them all over the tables anyway. They're super easy to go take in and out of. I'm super happy about that. And I can easily see all the pieces that I have, so it's not discouraging to use pieces at all. And I think on a technical level, kind of makes more pieces available to you when you can see all your parts. It's kind of like the glory of organizing, but I mean, if you can't see what you organize, there's no point. So yeah, in the end, super pleased with the final product, and now we can get on to the building process. As far as the building process, some materials, of course, you're probably going to need to include just regular pine boards. They're 5 inches wide, which worked out really well because that's just about the width, the diameter of a pab cup lid, and I wanted it to be as close to the wall as possible, but of course not up against the wall. And we bought 4 of those because they were 8 feet long, which was only like $16 for all of them because pine is pretty cheap, which worked out really well. So we ended up cutting those just about in half to make the boards that are roughly like 4 feet long, and then with the scraps from those, we were going to fashion the supports, which we actually did the triangles holding them up, which we'll get to later. So in terms of preparing the shelves, we put them through a planer just to make them all consistent and easy to work with later in terms of standing. We rounded off the corners just by cutting them and then sanding them. We cut all the holes. This is kind of an important part. We used like a big circle drill bit. We didn't exactly pick the right one. It's probably more meant for like metals and stuff. So I think one meant for wood would be cheaper and a lot easier to work with. And we did it on a drill press to make sure we got consistent cuts, and they were super easy to do on just straight down, since we were going to be doing 64 of them, which took quite a while. But the diameter of that really big drill bit is important because you don't want the cup to sit too deep in the hole. So the diameter I set it on was 3¼ inches, just because roughly the bottom diameter of the cup is 3 inches and the top is around 4. So I thought that would sit in there pretty nicely, which it ended up doing, especially after we sanded and beveled it. It fits really naturally. Then we moved on to beveling all the edges. We did a slightly bigger bevel on like all the edges of the boards, just like on the outside, and then the circles were just a little bit smaller. So we did all that. I think that was a really nice design choice, just a little bit more effort for a much cleaner and cooler and professional look to the shelves. And then we were finally on to the super long and strenuous process of sanding all of these, which, because there's like so much area now to cover, that there's these circles and all the edges, and then of course just like the surface of the board, it took quite a while, and it was pretty rough to do. But in the end, we got the insides of the circles looking pretty nice, and everything is of course super smooth. And then when we stained it, since it was sanded, there weren't any like super really dark spots. That's why the inside of the circles are darker, is just because it's not as smooth as the top, and the stain really absorbs it. So once it was sanded, we moved on to just staining it. We did the gray stain, which I think looked, of course I already mentioned, it looks a little bit too dark, so we went over it with like a fine grit sandpaper once it was all finished. But that can only do so much. And then just with our scraps, I guess we were doing this along the way, and I didn't really mention it just now. The supports, we just fashioned a whole bunch of triangles. We beveled those and then just put some holes in it to hold the hardware that we also got before we started this. So we used drywall lags on one side to hold them up, some really strong drywall lags, because it's holding quite a bit of weight once all those pab cups are full. And then the other side was in a stud. So that's why like the two supports are like in this middle area. You'd think it would be better like a little bit farther out, but it just so that like it can't sag down at all, but it doesn't at all. And I think that was a good choice to orient the support to go where a stud is. And yeah, that pretty much concludes the building process. If you're going to be making some of these yourself, of course, that you just want to design it specifically to go wherever you need. It's pretty much just, it's really easy to plan it out. So I don't think I need to give any really specific dimensions. I think this is a really good idea for other people to do if they have a whole bunch of pab cups. And if you do, share a link with me, and so maybe share it down in the comments so other people can see it also if they're planning on doing it themselves, and we'll get some different ideas. And yeah, if you thought this was cool, if you liked the video, subscribe or leave a like, and I'll see you guys later.